We turn now to the Middle East, where tensions are once again flaring in Syria as deadly sectarian violence near Damascus spirals alongside fresh Israeli airstrikes. Syrian state media says Israeli forces targeted areas near Sana'a, southwest of the capital, killing at least 2 people. Israel says the strike was a warning action to stop what it called an extremist group preparing to attack the Druze community. It comes after nearly 40 people were killed in just 2 days of brutal clashes between Druze, Sunni group and government forces. The violence, which began in Jaramana, was repeatedly triggered by a voice message deemed offensive to the Prophet Muhammad. Israel's military says 3 wounded Syrian Druze have been evacuated into Israel for treatment. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has warned the Syrian regime to act or face more military pressure. The Syrian government has condemned the strikes and pledged to protect all communities, including the Druze. Authorities say security has now been restored in Sana'a, with hundreds of Interior Ministry forces deployed following talks with local Druze leaders. The governor of Damascus suburbs say weapons must remain solely in the hands of the state to avoid further unrests. The United Nations' envoy for Syria has called the situation unacceptable and has warned of a dangerous escalation. Meanwhile, Turkey has called on Israel to immediately halt its aerial operations, and Lebanon's Druze leader has urged Syrian Druze to reject what he called Israeli interference. And we are now joined by Martin Arias, foreign affairs analyst located in Frankfurt, Germany. Martin, thank you very much for joining us on the programme. What exactly does Syria mean when it says it rejects foreign intervention? Is this a message to Israel, the United States, or others active in Syria's airspace?
Well, according to timing, because of the Israeli strikes, I think this message was to Israel. However, not only to Israel. We need to remember that the new regime in Syria under Ahmed al-Sharaz, basically shifting the Syrian foreign policy. Right now, we see that for this new regime, Russia and mainly Iran are the major enemies for the Syrian regime. Nonetheless, this new regime wanted to approach Israel through the US. But I think because of these new strikes, the tension between Syria and Israel are going to be further. However, I think this message is not only for Israel, but for everyone who wants to use Syrian aerial space. And this is a message not only for Israel, but also for Iran and for every sectarian group that wants to be against this regime's interests.
Yes, and as you've said, Syria is rejecting foreign intervention, yet Russia and Iran play a major role in Syria's military posture right now. How do you analyze their role, particularly when it comes to defending against Israeli attacks?
So I think that right now, I don't think Syria is aligned with the rest of Israel's enemies because of this new policy being implemented by this new regime. I think this new regime wants to approach more the US because for them, the major threat for Syria is the Iranian regime and its proxies, such as its proxies in Lebanon and throughout the Middle East. I do think the new policy of Syria is be completely against any external intervention, not only Israeli, because the foreign Assad regime rejected every Western intrusion to Syria. But this new regime is going to be completely against any kind of intrusion, especially from Iran and Russia. I don't think Syria is going to be involved in a major attack towards Israel. I think the tension between Israel and Syria will remain, but it's not going to cooperate with Israel's enemies.
Yes, Martin, and finally, do you see this as part of a wider escalation in the region, especially after Israel's operations in Lebanon and Gaza? And do keep in mind that this is not the first attack by Israel on Syria either.
I don't think this is going to be part of major escalation in the Middle East. I think this is going to be absolutely isolated between tensions between Israel and Syria. I don't think Syria is interested right now under this administration to cooperate with other parties in the Middle East because they themselves are being enemies of these other players in the Middle East. I don't think Syria is going to cooperate with Syria. I don't think, with Iran. I don't think Syria is going to cooperate with Lebanon or with the Houthis or with the Palestinians or any terror organization in the Gaza Strip. I think they're going to try to completely isolate themselves, try to cooperate with the US, and try to being very skeptical about other powers in the Middle East. Unfortunately, I think the path of peace between Israel and Syria, which under this current administration in Syria, they wanted to approach Israel, this is going to be deteriorated. However, I don't think it's going to be part of a huge war in the Middle East. I think this is isolated.
Martin Saar, Ariaz, thank